Let's begin the video with the most boring topic, and yet that is most frequently talked. People use it for when they have nothing else to talk, or when they're out of sentences and they want to fill it with something. So people in Sweden are usually not comfortable to talk to others, and yet they love to talk about this topic, and that is weather. So the weather today is a little bit cloudy and windy. Yesterday it was sunny, and we are gonna go for this second-hand shop which is close by in Hertsön.
Loppis?
Yeah, and I just want to show you something. This is a ICA store, and this is only store in Hertsön area, only supermarket. And this store usually has inside, if you see, along with the store there is a cafe, a pizzeria, and a one shop where you can buy cakes and these kind of stuffs. Close to the supermarket is the gym 974. They have this two parts of the gym here. So one part is here, you see, and the other one is it's a little bit further there. So the gym is in two parts. When we walk a bit further, we find a church here also. So there it is, a church, and this perhaps is the biggest church of this area, Hertsön area, or at least this part of the Hertsön, because Hertsön is pretty big neighborhood. And there is a school there, close to the church, on the other side of the church. And mostly this parking where people park their cars who are coming to the school. Not sure if they are, if you're coming to the church and you can use this parking, but perhaps it's for the school. It's for the school, right?
Yeah.
And there is this stadium for football, and the today's program or festival has been organized there in that part of Sweden. Loppis or second-hand shops are very common in Sweden, which is not very common in India. It's not only common in Sweden, but it's also common in most part of the Europe. So we see many second-hand shops like Röda, Korset or Red Cross, or some other shops that's like you can find almost every city or every place, most of the places. And most of the time people use the things, maybe they get bored after a certain while, or they want to buy a new thing and then they sell it to some of these shops, and now they sell it in this as a second hand, or they sell it to some other people. So that includes clothes, sports items, some household stuff like porcelain or some other cups or glasses, books, CDs, and all these kind of things, all the things that you see in the home. Second-hand shops are very useful, that you can reuse a thing, so it doesn't go to the waste. Let's say that someone buys a pair of shoes and they get bored of it, or sometimes they just like if it's for kids, kid grows up and then the clothes is not useful anymore. So instead of throwing it, you could just give it to these shops where the second-hand things are sold, and then someone else who needs it can buy it. So it can be reused, and then it doesn't go to the waste, and then this reuse can help to the environment, for the economy and everything. It's also much cheaper to buy a second-hand thing than to buy completely new things. This concept, I haven't seen it in India yet. I grew up in villages, so definitely not in the village. You can see that in the villages where, for example, where I grew, because people use it so much that it can be used further, so perhaps there is no need of second-hand shops. But still, I mean, for example, if it's a kid's clothes, like shoes, and if they outgrow it, it can be sold into the second-hand shops rather than just throwing it away. And sometimes in the villages what happens is, when kids outgrow their clothes, people give it to their relatives or other siblings if they have. So that's how the things are used. Here what we are seeing is a shop. It's more like everyone have their stall, these small stalls that we see, the small shops. Things that you see here in the shops, people own these things that they are selling in their shops. It's not a shop in a way, not like Röda, Korset, where different people sell their secondhand or used stuff, and then from there you can go and buy. Here it's like they own their own stall, their own shop, and you can just buy directly from them. It's pretty good. Like, it's just perhaps happens once in a year or something. And you can see here people are selling clothes, some sports stuff, some household stuff, like their toys, decoration stuff, shoes, and things like that. It's very general stuff. There are also some street loppis where people sell their used things in front of their houses in the streets. Some of the loppis that happens are in the areas in Luleå, like Hertsön and
Gamestan. Any area. It's like almost every weekend, I think.
yeah. Or also sometimes people have this thing called garage loppis, where they take out their things in the garage and they make it like a shop in the garage to sell their second-hand things. And it might work it in a way like you put an event on a Facebook or something, or you can just open it and put some signs that this is a loppis in the garage today, and then you can showcase your things and you can sell it from there, right? And in Sweden also there are several online markets for selling the second-hand things, and online markets like Facebook Marketplace. I never even knew that it existed back in India. It's the truth. Link. And some other websites like Blocket, which is one of the most popular, perhaps the most comprehensive website where people sell their second-hand things, and that will include second-hand cars, some small things, big things, along with the houses. People also rent it on houses on that thing. And some other websites like Tradera, where you trade your things. If you want to sell your things, used things, you can just put it on Tradera, and you can mark it like a fixed price for that, where people can see that there is a fixed price, right? Or an auction. So you can like put a minimum price, or you can ask someone to put a minimum price, and then after the minimum price is decided, it will go on an auction, and people will start to bid on that thing.
So then there is a certain time and date when the auction will end, and you can place a bid until the very last minute.
Yes, so after that certain time or date is arrived or reached, then the seller will have to sell his things to the buyer who has the final bid. Also, there are some other online websites like Sellpy. I'm gonna put all of the links of the second-hand shops if you live in Sweden and if you want to see what are the online markets or websites where you can buy the second-hand things. You can look at there and buy things. One also very useful thing I found in Sweden, particularly in Gothenburg area, that area, Västra Götaland. In there, you use this Västtrafik, and Västtrafik usually on the app, if you buy a ticket, is expensive. Like if it's one zone, it might cost like 35 kronor. So there is an app called Tikital. So on Tikital, you actually can borrow someone else's ticket. For example, if someone has like a ticket for 1 month and they're not using for a particular day, and you want to use it for a particular day, so they post an ad on Tikital. Then you go on this app and you check that someone is lending a ticket. So you can borrow it for a lesser price than the actual ticket if you buy new from the Västtrafik app, for example. So it's a kind of a second-hand way of selling things, but it's very useful. We haven't seen this in Luleå for the LLT app. So LLT stands for Luleå Local Trafik, and that is where you buy your bus tickets, maybe ferry tickets also, some of them included. LLT doesn't have this facility. Tikital doesn't work here for LLT. It only works in Västtrafik and some other services in the southern Sweden, perhaps. But it's very useful. It will be pretty good if Tikital or any other app can be used in the northern part of Sweden, like Luleå as well. That has the same concept as these loppis shops, like where people can buy used or second-hand stuff and for lesser price, and it's not going to be a waste. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed it.